You are a work of art. And if you've ever been plagued with any kind of trauma, pain, mental health diagnosis, trigger in your life, unfortunately, it doesn't allow the essence of who you are to shine through, and it pushes you to have to create an identity that's based out of survival, given all of the pain points that you may have gone through. Now, once you've overcome those traumas and those pain points and the emotions that cause suffering, you come back to this place of peace. And once you have peace, you have all this space now, all of this openness that you can come back to what your God-given birthright is, which is to create, innovate, and have a life of joy and bliss. And that's where you get to create your authentic and developed identity. And what I mean by that is, once you're no longer reacting to trauma, no longer reacting to unresolved emotions, no longer having so many symptoms rooted in fear, anger, or grief, once you are no longer constipated with emotions that cause suffering, the fear, anger, and grief that I mentioned, once you have that relief, once you have all of that peace, the next step is a little bit confusing for some, because once the pain isn't there anymore, once the discomfort isn't there anymore, most people don't know what to do. And that's where you get to create. And at the same time, discover yourself. So the authentic self is the self-inquiry and self-discovery to recognize who you are outside of that survival drama and trauma and cycle that you've been through. And that just comes with a lot of self-reflection and self-inquiry. And then the other part is the created self, which is you get to choose who you are and develop who you are. And that gives you that opportunity to really be that main character in your life and to live a life that you love to live a life that you want to show up for every day, to feel good every day. Maybe not all day, every day, but you can feel good every day. And you don't need to self-medicate. You don't need to numb. You don't need to distract. You don't need to cope. You don't need to manage. You just get to enjoy life and do the things that move you, inspire you, that you're passionate about, that give you a sense of drive to leave your unique signature in this world. And that goes back to your identity, your authentic self meeting your created self. So how do we do that? Again, self-inquiry being a big part of it is, to constantly look into, like, is this right for me? And what is my actual truth in this? Which means you have to learn to overcome people-pleasing, self-betrayal, self-abandonment, and self-denial. And a really, really powerful way to get to that truth is the body acuity or sensory acuity concept that we've talked about before, which is just learning how to read the messages of your body. Let me give you an example of recognizing your truth when it comes to recognizing your body's messages, or that or developing sensory acuity or developing body acuity. For example, if I turn around and I say, my name is Ida, I know it's my truth. There's zero tension or resistance in my body when it comes to that. And it feels light, it feels comfortable, it flows, it's easy to come out, there's no apprehension. I don't even think about it. Remember, like I said before, overthinking about something usually signals that it's a fear response. And overthinking about something usually means it's not your truth, because you're trying to convince yourself of something that is not your truth. So that overthinking could actually be a coping mechanism rather than sitting with your absolute truth. Okay, so like I said, my name is Ida. Comes out really easily. I don't have a feeling about it. It's very neutral or peaceful in nature. If I turn around and say the sky is purple, I personally feel a little clench in my stomach right now when I say that. I have strong sensory acuity. I just did a compare and contrast between the two to recognize the difference of that openness, that spaciousness in my body versus tension or discomfort when I know I am not speaking in my truth. That is a tool to help identify your truth and your authentic self. Now, sometimes our truth and our authentic self isn't necessarily right for us. That's part of your self-development. That's part of your self-inquiry. For example, let's say I love sugar, and I feel very comfortable in my body because that's my truth. And when I eat a lot of sugar, it actually makes me sick. So that truth about myself may not be right for me. So I have to develop myself in that area to look at, okay, this is my truth. I love sugar. And when I eat a lot of sugar, it makes me sick. It makes me feel bad. In fact, when I was sharing that word with you, I love sugar, or that statement with you, again, I got a clench in my stomach because there's a part of me that understands that my love for this doesn't necessarily feel good for me. That's that little nuance, that little nudge that you get from your body. That's what I mean by sensory acuity or body acuity. To recognize that your body's communicating like, yeah, okay, you might love it, tastes good, it's great, but like, hey, doesn't feel good afterwards. And that's where you develop that created self. Like, okay, I'm this is where I am at today. This is my truth. I am not in opposition or in conflict with my own truth of the fact that I love sugar. And I'm now going to develop myself in this area because I know that combination of love for sugar and how bad it makes me feel afterwards with the sugar crashes, the headaches, the jitters, the addiction, the mental fog. Like, it has a lot of side effects that come with it. The weight gain, the inflammation, like just a lot of side effects that come with it. So the love for it and the consequences don't really like add up for me in a positive way. So I come to that conclusion of it's not right for me. What do I do about it? And that's the fun part. Believe it or not, like, you need to change your perspective in that area. The fun part is figuring out what's right for you within your truth. And that's what I mean by living your authentic and created self as the identity you develop once you've walked away from the nightmare of trauma, once you've walked away from the nightmare of managing and coping with symptoms, once you've resolved them, you now get to enjoy life and create and innovate. That's what we do as humans. This whole YouTube channel and all the equipment that was involved for this YouTube channel to exist is all out of creation and innovation. It's what we do as humans. We create and innovate. It's our God-given birthright. And you can take that same birthright into self-development and living your best life possible by developing your identity in the direction that feels right for you. So going back to this example about sugar, okay, I like the taste of sweet. I know this about myself. What are sweet things that I can eat that don't give me the same side effects that sugar does, for example? Maybe I can eat fruit. Maybe I can eat dry fruit. Maybe I can use honey or something like that. You know, I'm just going down the list, and we're not going into a topic about my eating patterns and habits, but just giving you an idea of what I mean by that. And you just do little tweaks and little adjustments, and you constantly go into self-inquiry. A good formula to keep in mind for self-inquiry is the ABC method: antecedent, behavior, and consequence. What antecedent is what happened that created the behavior that resulted in a certain consequence. So going back to my sugar example, the behavior is I ate sugar. What was the thing that led me to want to eat sugar? Was it emotional coping? Was it a craving? Was it a hormonal need? Was it because my sugars are low and my body is saying like, hey, you need to replenish this area? What was going on? That's the whole inquiry part, okay? The behavior is eating sugar. Then there's the consequence. What happens as a result? What fruit does it bear? What results does it bring me? What results was I looking for to begin with? What is my actual truth in this scenario, right? So the results of the overload in sugar was it created jitters, a headache, like a diabetic crash, fatigue, brain fog. Those were not the results I was looking for. Definitely not. That was not the antecedent. That was not the trigger. That was not the initial thing that made me want to eat sugar to seek out that result, right? So you know what's right for you based off of the results it brings for you. So going back to this example, let's say the antecedent here was I was really stressed out and I just really needed to cope. And what I was actually looking for was to feel relaxed. I just needed to change my mood. So I was chemically looking to change it through sugar because I know when I eat sugar, it changes my mood. I feel good. I feel better, right? And then I take a step back, be like, okay, what are some other things that I can do? What's right for me that can actually create the same feeling that I'm looking for? Because sugar clearly is not that, right? So if I'm stressed out and I'm looking to feel calm and relaxed, and I'm looking to change my mood and I want a chemical change in my body, I want those stress hormones to subside, I want my sympathetic symptoms to subside, I'm looking for some peace and relief. What does that for me? Would a walk do that for me? Would meditation do that for me? Would a long shower do that for me? Would resting do that for me? Would listening to peaceful music do that for me? Would any of those behaviors lead to the consequence or the result that I'm looking for? Let's just say in this example, taking a hot shower did that for me. Like, wow, I'm not stressed out anymore. Those stress hormones are not coursing through my body anymore. Man, I feel really good. That's my truth. My truth is when I want to feel good, I go take a hot shower. I don't necessarily need to eat sugar to feel good. Does that change the fact that I like the taste of sugar? No. But what that does is that it helps me find more of my truth in it to be like, okay, well, can I eat sweet foods that I enjoy, but also don't make me feel bad, and not using it as a way to cope, but enjoying it for what it is, which is a sweet flavor. And in my example, it would be eating a piece of fruit, one of my favorite pieces of fruit, and I'll eat it to the point that it feels right. I don't have any sugar crashes afterwards. And ultimately, I'm not using it as a coping mechanism, or I'm not overeating it. That is now a new identity I'm creating about myself. I'm no longer a sugar addict, or I'm no longer a person with a sweet tooth. I'm a person that likes to feel calm and relaxed. I'm a person that likes to feel comfortable. And I found my ways that are right for me to do that. And oh, by the way, I enjoy sweets now and then, and these are the ways that feel good for me. Now I have a different identity around it. It's no longer as a way to cope. It's no longer as a stress response. It's no longer as a survival response, but it's just who I am in the way that feels right for me. And that way I can enjoy so many more things in life. I come back to the joy of life. Every day can feel like a celebration. Every day can have pockets of bliss in it because I'm staying true to myself and I'm developing myself in a direction that keeps me true to myself. And ultimately, my barometer is how peaceful do I feel in my body? How peaceful do I feel in my thoughts? How peaceful do I feel in my emotions? How much relief is in my body after I do this thing? You know, in this case, eat sugar, you know, or take a hot shower, right? Like I'm getting to know myself in that process. And that could be so much fun to sit there and focus on what feels right for you and which direction you want to take your life and which direction you want to take your moods and which direction you want to take your behaviors. And that brings you back in control. It's no longer being an NPC in your own life. It's no longer feeling like trauma or survival is controlling your life. You take it back in your own hands, and you make this life something to celebrate. Now, through this video and through the entire series of this video, which is about how emotions work, trauma, how to resolve it, and then what to do afterwards, which is the identity creation that I'm talking about today. If this all appeals to you and it just feels right for you, like a path you want to go down, and you're just struggling a little bit to figure it out on your own, go ahead and book a session with me. I'd be happy to walk you through all of these concepts to tailor it specifically to you. However, if you find that these videos have been helpful and you're figuring it out on your own, then I think you might really enjoy the next series that we're coming up with. And in the next series, we're going to go ahead and learn about the timeless truths, wisdom, and teachings of Jesus Christ and how they relate to your mental health and how they're going to help you to really, really free yourself from the bondage of mental and emotional suffering. All right, I look forward to meeting you in the next video. May peace be with you.